Okay, it's 7:05. We'll call the meeting to order and start with the pledge to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Rod, you have something for the public participation part on the sign-in sheet?
Yeah,
Go ahead, you're up.
okay. So I called the township because we wanted to do some work on the property, and the township told us to call craft codes. And I called craft codes and met with Anderson, Scott Anderson. And I told him, we're gonna do some work, can you tell us, what you want us to do there, so that way we don't run back and forth. And he said, yeah. So I went to their office and, sat with them for maybe like half an hour, and they billed me for that, like $500 and some dollars. And I don't agree with that. And then I called the township. I said, why would they charge me just to talk to somebody, and they're gonna bill me for that, because they have my money in the escrow account, and that was unfair. So they told me to come here and talk to you guys.
Okay. Scott's not here tonight, unfortunately. But Jeff, was it a permit you filed, or was it just, do you have the details?
Jawad had questions about his land development plan and work that he wanted to do pertaining to that, correct, Jawad?
Mm-hmm.
And Scott talked to you on numerous occasions, sometime on the telephone. And then you did meet there, and I believe Scott told me it was for about an hour.
It was not an hour.
Well, I'm not gonna argue semantics here. There were numerous times that he spent time discussing the project with you. And I'm not sure what the bill was, but Scott had it documented, the dates and times that he spent discussing this with you all. We've been trying to help him get this through so he can use this property. But there seems to be a sticking point as far as the land development plan, what has not been completed yet. And that seems to be the problem. He's not able to get this project moved forward due to that. He had applied for 2 permits. One was for a fence for the property. The other was to put a shed, I believe a 24 by 24 prefab shed there to use as the office building. Well, unfortunately, the prefab building, the type he wanted to purchase, is not going to work for that application. It needs sealed joints, it needs to be set on a permanent foundation, and it needs to be plumbing hooked up, there needs to be an accessible bathroom in it. And like I say, we need sealed joints for all that per the UCC. So I had to deny his permits that he had applied for based on those facts. And, Jawad and I had met and had a conversation about that as well. I didn't charge him for that. There's the application fee, which is non-refundable, but until the research was done and the letters were written, it pretty much chewed up the $150 that he had with the application fee. So have we billed? Yes, Scott did pull some money out of the escrow. I mean, he did personally because we don't hold the escrow. The township holds it. So that's pretty much where it's at.
Was there a structure shown on the land development plan?
Yes.
And it was different than the one that he applied for a permit? Do you understand what Jeff is describing, that the building that you propose to put on the property doesn't meet the codes that the township is required by the state to apply to your situation? The building that was on the land development plan would have been permissible if the building permit showed that, if the building permit application showed that it would meet what was on that land development plan, and if it met the Uniform Construction Code, the UCC code. But unfortunately, you weren't able to get a permit because what you asked to install doesn't meet the code. Do you understand that?
Can I ask one more question? I'm not gonna be charged for this, right? For tonight?
No.
No, okay, all right, so, the other question is, when the township, they made me do all the work on the property, and they were supposed to record the plans, and when I went to the recording office, where they record the plans, they said nothing has been recorded.
No, you haven't satisfied the requirements to have that plan recorded. Now, you know, this process started, I would say, approximately 15 years ago, if my memory is correct. And you got to a certain point where the plan was acceptable as a land development plan, but the next step would have been for you to enter into an improvements agreement with the township, and you were required to provide financial security for certain improvements that would be part of that project. At that time, my recollection is that you told the township that you didn't want to put up the money for the improvements escrow, but you wanted to be able to start the construction process by doing certain site improvements. And the township was willing to help you with taking that partial step forward. And so you entered into an improvement inspection agreement, and you provided that $5,000 escrow to the township. And on that basis, you started some work. I think you did some stormwater improvements to the property. But you never went to the next step of coming to the township and saying, I want to get this plan recorded so I can complete the project. You would have been required at that time to enter into an improvements agreement for whatever improvements were not completed at that time. So the plan could not be recorded because you have never taken the step of entering into an improvements agreement with the township and providing financial security for the estimated cost of any remaining improvements on that property. At this point, the township has granted you extensions in order for you to be able to complete this process. And if you recall, I believe it was last year that there was a motion made by this board, and you received a letter confirming that this board made a motion to give you 2 more years to complete this process. And as my understanding of the consequences of that decision by this board is that you were given until sometime in 2024 to complete the requirements to get that plan recorded and to enter into an improvements agreement with the township for the remaining costs of the improvements. So there is still a path that you can go forward with this project. But there are things that you need to do in order to be able to get that plan recorded so that you can get all the permits that you need to complete the construction of the improvements that are shown on that land development plan.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The plan was supposed to be recorded. That's what the
No,
township told me.
no.
Yeah.
That's not true. I don't
Well-
believe that's true.
Okay. Well, I know you're not gonna believe me, because you what's your name?
I'm Chris
Oh, you
Hartman,
look
I'm the
different.
attorney.
Are you trying to be like me now with the beard, huh? Oh, you look different. All right. So, yeah, you sound familiar. So, they told me, they said, my understanding, they told me this is gonna be recorded and, to put up money in the account. And I told them, I said, I'm gonna spend my own money and I'm not gonna put it in the account. I did say that, yeah. So, like I said, my first complaint is, I had a professional drawing by the engineering.
Right.
So there was no point, there was another guy named Gary that he would keep looking at my drawings when they were already approved by the township and craft what they kept billing me. And I told them, if it's already approved, why are you guys keep billing me for this?
Well, what you're being billed for, as I understand it, was a couple things. One was when you did work at the property, the township had to inspect that work to ensure that it was done in accordance with the plan, the approved plan. So that was part of what was intended to be paid for from that $5,000. In addition to that, there have been repeated discussions between you and the different people at Kraft about doing things differently, making changes. Can I use a different kind of paving than what was shown on the plan? And in this case, more recently, can I put up a different building? I mean, you have been making changes in what you have asked to put on that property. And those things cannot happen automatically. They have to be reviewed and discussed. And the township incurs bills from the engineer.
That's how they make their money. Yeah, but I mean, I didn't agree with that. I thought, man, that was just, it was not fair, The drawing is already there and they're billing me just, like, first of all, I didn't do any changes. I did talk about it, but, I work hard for my money. I have kids, family to support. And here, I had, the $5,000 already in the escrow. And, and I thought I was they were taking advantage of me, like seriously, because the money is already there. And they would just, I look in my mail, forget about the mortgage and the electric bill, the water bill. Here, I get a bill from Kraft. I'm like, oh man, what is this now? I open it up and $800, $1,500, $700. I'm like, oh, come on, man, this is ridiculous. Man.
Well,
it's just,
the project has
that's
drug
not
out.
right, man. That's not right.
The project has drug out. As I
2010
said,
it was.
well, the agreement was 2010, but there were years of activities prior to 2010 where you came in with your engineer and worked through the planning process with the township. So as of 2010, it would have been possible at that time if you had entered into an improvements agreement with the township and placed the financial security for the improvements cost with the township, the plan could have been recorded back in 2010, and you would have been in a position then to get permits and to build what was shown on that plan. The process has drug out all these years.
So they did give me an option. They did say, well, either you could put the money in our account or you could spend it. So I said, I said I'd rather spend it. And they told me, okay, you can still get the plans recorded even if you spend.
No,
But it was just,
you were if you look at that 2010 agreement that you signed, and it was a long time ago, so perhaps you don't recall everything that's in that agreement from 2010. But it's clear in that agreement that the plan was not going to be.
I clearly remember the.
Okay. That agreement says that the plan will not be recorded, but you can begin to construct the improvements that are shown on that plan. And you started that process, but you didn't complete that process, and the plans could not be recorded. And it was clear in 2010 that those plans could not be recorded unless you completed the improvements yourself, or you entered into the improvements agreement and posted the financial security. You didn't do either of those things, so the plan could not be recorded. You didn't complete the construction yourself, nor did you enter into an improvements agreement with the township and post the financial security with the township.
Okay. All right, so I would like to ask you guys to help me here, please, okay? Instead of the paving, it's too expensive, the paving. Can you allow me to put milling down, instead of the paving? I mean, it's gonna be the same purpose. Can you guys allow me to put milling, recycle milling, and just so I can get going, and then I'll little by little fix up the property, Can you guys do that for me?
Well, I would caution the board that I don't want to mislead you and have any new confusion about this. So if you have a request, and again, you're not going to want Kraft to advise the township about this, but I want Kraft to advise the township about this, because we have to be careful that we don't take steps here at the township that would result in your project being totally different than what the plan shows that was approved, because there are things that we don't know what the consequences of that will be. I mean, there could be problems with compliance with ordinances, and we can't open the door for that. So my recommendation to the board and to you would be that you tell us very specifically what it is you want to do, and that the township goes back to Kraft and asks for a recommendation on that. And I also believe that it is your responsibility to pay for the cost of that. This board is not engineers. This board is not code enforcement officials.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't really need an engineer just to put milling down. You know what I mean? They're asking for 4 inches of paving, right?
Well, I'll let the board speak.
And the milling, I can put down 4 inches of milling, because there was a law, I guess, one time a car caught on fire because it was parked on grass, so they changed the law. So the milling, it gets hard after a while.
So when you came to this board, we have to follow rules with zoning and everything else. And that's the process for you to come up with a plan that's agreeable and accepted. Went through zoning, it went through a process that everybody goes through. And we're not gonna accept changes of the plans without Kraft's approval, but you started with the project and didn't follow through. I can't help for the cost. I mean, everything costs money. You came to us 13 years ago, and we don't have a project in this township that's 13 years old.
Yeah, financially, things happen.
I understand that, but that's not our problem either. I can relate, but that's not our problem. The plan you brought, you give us the money to either make the improvements and we'll hold it and we can file that, we can record the plan. But if not, we can't just record the plan and hope that it's gonna happen, and we're not gonna change you brought the plan, you spend money, we got the plan, that's what accepted. We're not gonna change it now unless we go through another process again and to come and I understand you think it's unfair, but Kraft Engineering does not do the engineering consulting for free. They charge us for stuff. They gotta charge you, but you ask them for something, you gotta if you don't wanna pay them, get your own engineer. And do what's required, but this is where we're at. This is 13 years since it's signed and nothing happens over there. And I mean, we just want to be fair, but this is your path. Either-
So right next to me, there's a car lot. It's right literally next to me. It's stone with a small shed as an office. Why cannot I have the same,
Because
permission
that
to
was-
do the same setup?
That was there years. It was grandfathered prior to these.
This
rules.
one's grandfathered in too. This property was owned by Village Motors. It was used as a junkyard, and I came and cleaned up everything, and cleaned up the property, and I spent thousands of dollars. I can't. It's against my religion to go to a bank and get a loan on interest. I'm not going to do that.
That property was called Rustburg's.
Huh?
That property was called Rustburg's.
It was a junkyard, right?
Yeah, Rustburg's.
Yeah, junkyard, yeah. So, it was a junkyard and I came along and I cleaned up the property. The least you guys could do is, work with me,
We worked with you for 13 years. These are the rules.
You're not doing it for free. I pay for that.
These,
I pay property taxes on their
hey,
property.
so do we all.
So-
But
so-
we don't all pay
yeah.
property taxes to come here every year and discuss this. Here's your path to get it done. In black and white. Get it done or don't.
Yeah.
That's your choice. I'm not gonna change the plans. I don't recommend these guys change the plans. We work with, this project is 13 years old. We don't have a project in this township that went for 13 years without progress. This is it. Get it done or do something different. Here's your path.
Hey,
Put the money up.
talk with respect.
Talk
I'm
with,
talking
I
to
am
you
respecting,
nicely,
I'm talking with
But
you respect.
watch your
Get,
tone, all
get
right?
the stuff done or
I own
don't
the
get the stuff
property.
done.
I pay for the property taxes, and you don't tell me what to do on my own
You're
property.
asking for
You know?
this, yeah, you're
We-
asking what we
pay
wanna
you.
do.
Us property owners, we pay you guys,
This,
and then you guys try to screw people over.
we don't screw
that's
anybody
what you
over, we
do.
treat everybody fair. You asked for your path,
You
you
know,
give me your path. I'm not gonna argue with you,
I
I'm not
already
disrespectful.
got screwed by Craft Coat, these people over here taking my money, and like I said, we are property
They're
owners.
not gonna do
We
their
pay
work for
taxes
free.
for the property, and we maintain the property. How is this fair when we don't cut our grass? You guys give us citation.
Because there's
But
ordinances that say that.
But
We don't
then,
make that up.
but then when we drive on the highway, I see weeds grown to 6 feet, and you guys, no one tells you to cut that, right? And you guys are responsible to cut that.
I'm not gonna argue with you, this is the path, I've been respectful, but this is the path. That's your options. It's in black and white how to get it done. Craft engineer's not gonna work for free. If you don't wanna pay them, don't go there. The stuff we do in this
All I
township-
did was I called them and I told them that we need to do some work, and they charge us for that. When I told them, why did you do that? They told us the township charged you for that. Go talk to them. Then when I called the township is telling me that no, they charge you for that. So they're like, you guys are giving me the runaround.
Well, if they're
That,
doing-
that's not right. You don't just take people's money like that.
We have spent time with you, time after time.
Look,
We're happy to do
I have a
that.
property somewhere else too, but when I call the township and I ask them, hey, what can I do with this property? They tell me what I can and I cannot do. They don't charge me for that.
And I have
I
done
did
that
the same
many
thing
times
here.
with you.
When I called Jen, are you Jen?
Yes, I am.
I called her and she said, well, you need to call Crack and talk to them. And when I called them, you guys charged me for that $570 some.
I have talked to you many times in the last 10 years.
Anderson charged me for that.
Well,
But
but
just to talk to somebody?
his position.
You guys work for us. We are the property owners, and then you guys gonna charge us for that?
Okay.
And then we cannot do on our own property what we want to do. It's not like I'm building a big gas station. All I'm doing, I'm a small car lot with a small office, have 5, 10, 15 cars for sale. That's all I'm doing. I'm not putting any gas tanks in there. I'm not building a gas station here. I'm not doing any of that.
And that's part of the land development. This plan you brought to us in 2010, you agreed to it to do it.
And also, the township agreed that they were gonna record it, and they
It-
didn't record
It
it.
says right here
You
on
told me
page
it
2, it
doesn't-
says right here on page 2, you have to put up financial financial funding to complete the projects, right here in the contract. It's not made up, everything's in black and white. This is what you agreed to, this is the path you should go down. If you wanna redo it, you gotta start over and come to us, but we're not changing the rules. These are the rules, and we treat everybody the same. This is 13 years we've been working with you on this. And I think everything you come and asked us, we've done extensions and everything in our power, but if you're getting work done by the township, we don't fund engineering for the entire township. For each project, the taxes cover other stuff, but when you get specific engineering, and just like when we put in permits, that money goes to
Like I said,
research the
Like I
permits.
said, I'm not building a major highway here. You don't need an engineer for that. This is just a way to get money out of me. That's what you guys are doing.
In your
That's
opinion,
what you guys did.
in your
That's
opinion,
what you guys are
we
doing.
do everything the same for
And then you
everybody.
guys are gonna probably do the same thing with all these property owners.
We will, because everybody follows the same
And you guys
rules.
are gonna just take money. That's a form of bribery. How is that fair?
It's not, it's just enforcing the rules.
That's just a form of bribery. Okay? You put it on pen and paper, oh, township
Hey,
fee,
we talk about being
township that,
respectful,
you know.
but we don't
Well,
need to
no,
talk
see,
about
I'm
bribery.
saying the truth. I'm a man, I
Yeah,
speak the truth.
I speak the truth too. Here's
Yeah,
your path.
and that's
And
a
this is-
form of bribery.
This is the end. Here's your path. We're gonna move on. Okay? Approval of the minutes for May 8th. You guys have any questions?
No, I was going, after it's good. I'll make a motion, we approve.
All in favor? Code enforcement for May of 2023.
Okay. 608 Crisscross Road. I believe the zoning hearing board heard that appeal, that variance. That decision should be forthcoming. 68 Crystal Ridge Road. Again, that has gone through the zoning hearing board process. I talked to that property owner today. I will be issuing his permit as soon as he provides me with a plan for a dry well that he agreed to install. 11 Farmers Drive. We got numerous people calling about that property. I'm working with one guy that is going to need relief from the zoning hearing board to do what he wants to do there. He's also gonna have to go through the land development process. I'm waiting to hear more from him. 791 Fleetwood Lions Road. That hearing will be on Thursday evening here at 7 o'clock. 1329 Kutztown Road. That's the old Kirbyville Hotel. They want to turn that into four-unit building, 4 apartments. That also needs zoning relief, a form of a variance. That hearing will be held next Thursday. 14953, property owned by Nino. That hearing has been held.
All right, so you're not gonna refund me my money, right? You're not gonna refund the money?
Nope.
Them, you're not gonna refund me the money? All right. Be careful with this township people, man. That's a ripoff.
53 Middletown Road. That's the gentleman who continues to burn. I have a hearing, I believe, on Thursday with the judge in Fleetwood. 330 Mine Road.
Hey, it's just back up to Middletown. Did they sign them?
Oh, yeah, we had citations issued. Yeah, so that hearing will be on, I think it's Thursday.
All right.
330 Mine Road, we filed citations against him. He's not gonna call, I can't, you can lead a horse to water, can't make him drink. That's what's going on there, I've talked to him so many times. He's close, he keeps telling me, but, so we won the citation
We
round.
did what we could do.
208 Nassau Church Road, that is a zoning hearing board for a variance, dimensional variance. That will be held this Thursday here. 1634 Musellum Springs Road. That's the property of Carlos Pub. We had an issue there. They're trying to sell. There's 3 parcels there, and they're trying to sell one. And due to language in your zoning ordinance, they're all non-conforming parcels. They can't break them apart and create more, make the property more non-conforming. So they need to consider them as a whole, because you add the 3 properties together and they're still not making it conform.
Is there a hearing on that? Or what's the process? Where's it at?
I haven't heard anything back from the Realtor. I gave them the option of going to the zoning hearing board. There is, I think when I talked to you, I read that section to you out of the ordinance, and it's very straightforward. They just were having a very difficult time trying to swallow that one.
So here's my problem in the spirit of the ordinance, and I know why they did it, and I don't know if it's something we should look at. So Musillum is laid out really difficultly as far as lot size.
Yep.
It was an old iron ore town, so there's a lot of small lots. So the ordinance that this township enacted in whatever year says that if there's 2 non-conforming lots are joined, they cannot be sold separately to make a non-conforming lot. So in this case, and there's one other case back there that I know, the house, they bought the bar, now they no longer can sell them separately because it makes a non-conforming lot, and I'm not sure that's the spirit of the ordinance, or there's other houses that are side by side that continue to buy and sell, but if you're the same owner of 2, if you buy your neighbor's house, now you can no longer sell them separately, which causes a little bit of.
That's why people use LLCs, and, if they.
But if you're the average person and not know, I didn't know this ordinance existed.
Well, that's what
That's the challenge.
That's what the zoning hearing board's for. I think the regulation makes sense because there's very small lots. You don't want them to be developed without having more land. But you're right, there's existing situations. So what's weird about this is that they added land and now they can't separate it again. So the facts are very unusual. I don't think this comes up very often.
It don't, but I know there's another situation back in that town that's gonna be the same thing if it ever comes up. And I don't know that that's the intent. Like if I buy my neighbor's property, put it in my name, I can never sell it. So I have 2 houses. I can never sell them separately. But if I buy my neighbor's house in my wife's name, then you can sell it. I mean, it just seems to be a hardship. And I understand the zoning hearing board is the place to go, but that definitely seems to be a hardship. Not being able to sell 2 properties side by side. In that situation, yes, there's multiple issues of that all along that area, just in different other things. That's the backstory. It just seems like it's not. I get why they did it.
Yeah, I see it too. Because they don't want to create 2 problems then.
Right.
Well,
I see why they did it, but it's just challenging.
The other thing that you want to look at too, these lots are so small,
Yeah, they are small.
less than a quarter acre, I believe, the one, and the other one, her part is like 9/100ths of an acre. What's gonna happen when your septic fails and you've got wells on the lots? And those are some of the issues that were probably thought about in the zoning ordinance, because they're all non-conforming lots.
Well, that's why you have minimum lot sizes, is so that people can have on lot water and sewer. And, if the lots are too small to either support on-lot water and sewer or to replace on-lot water and sewer, that's a big problem.
I get that.
Yes, it is.
They didn't create the problem. And if it's two different entities, it's no problem. But if it's one now, it is a problem. Just saying.
Well, I told them they would really have two options. One, of course, is the zoning hearing board, which it seems everybody I talk to right now, I'm referring to the zoning hearing board. The other option is if this board chooses to change the ordinance. I can't. I'm enforcing your ordinance.
I don't know, that's what we do. I'm just saying something to think about. I know why they did it. There just seems to be a hardship if you didn't know about it. And who would have known about it? I mean, I guess you should, even if the laws of the.
Well, I don't know if this helps, but this is a standard regulation. Every ordinance I deal with has the same regulation. I don't know if you can confirm that.
That's pretty much kind of boilerplate language in the zoning ordinance.
It's just a unique situation back there in Masilla. Because the lots were so small.
Yeah, I understand the woman's position and what she's trying to do. And believe me, we would like to see one of the properties improved if she was able to sell one. But,
You see in a lot of old towns where, some of these old town plans, lots are 12 feet wide or something, and then you build a house and you have to have 4 lots to build a house. Well, people shouldn't be allowed to sell off one of those 12-foot lots because it makes their property almost unusable. So this prevents problems from occurring in situations like that. But again, if the facts of the situation are genuinely a hardship, I think the way to fix that is through the zoning hearing board.
So how do we even track that? She would have sold it to me. When does that ever come up?
Comes up when people ask the question. And that's what happened.
came up with the settlement company.
That's what
They called me. I talked to Chris, we discussed that section of the ordinance, and here we are.
I don't know if the title company said you need to get feedback from the township, right? I think it might have happened that way. I don't
That's
know.
where it came
Well,
from.
she actually called us and she asked me if we would write them a letter just stating that it was conforming if they would do the property. And I said, I can't just write a letter to you unless it goes through the zoning first, but they can give me the authorization to do that.
So the quickest choice for her would be the zoning hearing.
Yeah.
All right.
425 Oak Haven, complaint about work there without permit. I have looked at the property, I complained, tells me I didn't see something about a storage building or garage was turned into residential living space. I will follow up on that one in the area next. 438 Park Road. That's a dental office, again, work without a permit. They are doing the appropriate things to get that addressed. Park Road property, we just discussed this evening. And we've got a couple high grass weeds, which would be typical of the season. That's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Any questions?
And then we'll discuss zoning hearings. I think it's on the agenda a little bit later. What's coming up?
We're gonna just jump over, see if, it's not Chief Holter, but the replacement. The replacement. Do you have anything to add to your report?
Yeah, well, the report itself is there. I don't know if you want me to go through any of it, for the people that are here. But there are two things that things that one started in May and is continuing at this point. We do the issue on Main Creek Road with what we believe is gonna probably be juveniles and laser lights. Actually, by your property, Brian, going up through to, towards Twin Churches and then behind Mr. D'Angelo's house on that side of the road too. Starting to narrow down the pattern. Unfortunately, we wound up losing the individuals in the wooded area up there. It is rather thick, so we are trying to come up with another plan in order to, and I don't think, which is why I think it's kids, I don't think they understand the gravity of the situation, but if they would actually hit somebody in an eye while these people are driving, we could have a very serious accident up there. So we're trying to address that, have people there, have officers up there at the time frame we think that this is more commonly occurring. The second incident actually just happened tonight. I'm going to make Ronnie happy on this one, but it involves the solar farm. Apparently they're getting deliveries by tractor trailers now, and they're utilizing the gun club side of Weaver's Road, which is okay to come in with a tractor trailer, but the tractor trailers can't go out at the gun club. They get hung up. We were probably there for almost 2 hours tonight because they couldn't pull them back and they couldn't pull them front. So I don't know if we can do something to post that road for no, I know it's posted no winter maintenance, but I'm not even sure if tractor trailers are even authorized on that stone road, or if there's anything prohibiting that. But there was actually guys from the construction site that he came in from Weaver's Hardware in that one. And they took him back out, brought him around, as best as we can understand his description, they brought him around Ruth Road and then down Weaver Road from the gun club side. But apparently this is going to be happening a lot more frequently with their delivery of the solar panels. So we tried getting in contact with people at the site. Haven't got any calls back yet, but I think before we actually have a major incident out there, we need to, look at that, or we'll try to follow up with them.
I'll be on site tomorrow.
The only alternative there is to go through Fiddler's property. That's the only alternative.
But there again, that would require them to give
You gotta
permission
get
to.
permission.
Yeah,
do
I
that.
know, you know how that is.
And I don't think he's gonna do
they open
that.
it on
I
the
don't
side,
wanna do
it's
that.
like, this guy was inexperienced or something.
I mean, and we all know Weaver Road back there. I don't know that that's really designed for heavy tractor trailers to be on. And they can only go as far as the railroad bridge to begin with, but anyway, just like I said, we were out there for about 2 hours tonight, trying to get this truck. And basically, at that point, the road was closed, we had to divert traffic around. And it was Monday and everybody wanted to go to Echo Hill. So we got many earfuls from people that wanted to get to Echo Hill that we had to send out to Park Road, or out to, I believe it was Lions Road.
Are you gonna be out there tomorrow, Jeff?
Yes.
Well, obviously, I don't have to tell you that it's temporary till this thing is replaced. They get all the panels on that 25 acres on this side of the railroad. There's really no other way to get down there, and I don't know if Bittlers would give the authority or give the okay to go through their lane. I don't know. But that's the only reason why they're actually going that route, is because they don't want to, make neighbors mad or anything.
Right, and they should,
And-
but that's,
But yeah,
they gotta figure it out.
physically can't.
Yeah, I was just telling him, as far as I knew, I thought they were all trying to go on a diagonal over that hump.
They can't.
And
Can't
some,
create an
maybe that guy wasn't.
No, we
The
had
whole
problems
road
with that
changed,
before with trucks going down and before the railroad bridge, and if they didn't turn around at Echo Hill or at Mr. Proctor's house, they'd come up, go in there, and the next thing they couldn't come out. So this isn't actually the first time we've had tractor trailers that were stuck there. But if this is gonna be a frequent thing with this,
Yeah.
kinda
They
needs to
need to
be.
get a handle on that, Jeff, see what their plan is.
We'll have that discussion tomorrow.
I'm sure we'll have-
While you're there, Jeff, can you get contact information for whoever's managing that project there?
Yeah.
because we can't ever seem to get a hold of, well, we have a problem. Can't get a hold of anybody there. We need someone that's accountable, that picks up the phone.
Right. David Segura has been my contact that I spend most of my time with there.
I was supposed to be a Mike too.
Well, he's not there anymore. He retired.
Uh,
Mike is not there. So I'm not sure who his replacement is. He was in charge of the entire site.
that's the guy we need to talk to. But if you could get that and share that with me.
All right. The only other question I have on the report is exactly the same patrol miles in Richmond and Fleetwood. Should I find that hard of it? Coincidence? I think not.
That you would have to address with Chief Officer.
Yeah, say Chief.
I did not.
Everything was good except there was a big debate on the mileage for Fleetwood and Richmond.
And,
5,027 each. We're thinking there's someone hit the wrong key.
and the other thing too, I would look at is the dyslexia on the patrol hours too. They were almost identical.
Yeah, I tried seeing that. Are they both this way or
And I
no?
realize we're good trying to keep that 50-50 thing, but I don't know that we're that.
The mileage, I'm not sure that could be 50-50 exactly.
Well, no, it'd be a little hard to actually do 5,000 miles in the row.
That's, I'm thinking you're gonna run around the block. So, well, thank you for coming. I'm actually glad you're here tonight. So we might need you
Well,
here shortly.
sounded very interesting.
Yeah. So, all right, thank you. SEO report for LTL. I didn't see anything on there really.
Quite a while.
Okay. Virginville Fire Company report. Approve the withdrawal for the truck payment. I make a motion that we approve that.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Anything else? Walnut Town?
No, everything's going good. I don't know if you heard from Robbie, but we had a duckling rescue here a couple days ago.
It's a duckling.
Yeah, at the roundabout. 7 of them in the drain. And Robbie chased down the other 2. For the field.
Man.
Other than that, now everything's going good.
Okay, good.
It's good PR stuff.
It is.
Unless one gets run over, then it turns instantly bad.
It was witnessed though. We had to do something.
Yeah. Oh, I said Virginville.
That's why I looked at your order for that.
Now we go to Walnut Town. Approve Walnut Town Fire Company's check request. I make that motion that we approve. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve transfer of funds to pay off the interfund balance. We talked about that, whatever the sewer fund goes. We'll be putting back in the general fund. We were doing it 25,000 a year, but the auditor recommended that we move it all now because we have the funds. So I make a motion that we do that. All in favor? Aye. Acknowledgement of the Weaver Burkholder Farm on Short Lane being considered for agricultural conservation easement.
That's all.
Any questions?
Nope, I don't have a problem.
I don't think I have to make a motion on that.
No.
Just acknowledge it. Review of Swift's volunteer fire company workers' comp renewal. You know how that compares to last year?
It's actually just a little bit less. And I did talk to, and he said they pretty much are gonna be right on the money of it. This might be actually cheaper than what he's gonna be able to come up with. So he said he will get numbers, but he says he believes that they are gonna be cheaper for us.
So we're working at that, your workers' comp, trying to see what we can do on the rate. Motion to approve Fleetwood Borough study of Beach Street flooding issues. You guys have any question on that?
Just some work that goes with grant money.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with the problem, so I can't speak to it.
But it says landowner letter of commitment to work. Must be on both sides of the Willow Creek as it goes down. Oh, a tribute period that feeds into the Willow Creek. You have an issue signing?
This is going to trigger a duty of operation and maintenance. I'm assuming that if there's work done pursuant to this grant, that as a property owner, the township would be responsible for some kind of maintenance. Do you know what they're gonna do and what the maintenance might entail?
I do not.
Um,
So this would pertain to the Willow Creek property,
Yeah. I think so.
which is upstream from this, apparently.
Coming out of the park.
Well, maybe we should know more.
Well, I think this is the grant to just do the study.
Yes.
So we don't know yet what they might actually do on the ground. Um,
So the study shouldn't trigger any action from DEP if it's simply.
Well,
But
the
you gotta make-
concern is they're asking you to
Yeah.
approve in advance that if this study results in a plan of work, and if that work is actually completed, that you will agree to maintain whatever that work is, which is kind of a big ask.
Especially when you don't know what the work is
Exactly,
or what the plan is.
correct. My thought would be to ask if there's some other way to do this, and I'm not sure.
So maybe we could send a letter of support for the study, but we're unsure to commit to the maintenance, what you're asking for, if we don't even know what it's gonna be. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair.
That is fair.
But we're hesitant to execute a landowner grantee agreement with the operation and maintenance plan. If we don't know what the scope of the work is or what the maintenance is gonna involve. Can you type up a letter? Is that agreeable?
No, that makes sense. And it's.
Support with no commitment.
It's somebody.
Because you're asking for a letter of commitment.
I think this is a step too far.
Yep.
So I would make a motion that we send a letter supporting the study, but are hesitant to commit to maintenance costs without knowing what that's gonna entail. We need more specifics. Sound fair?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, can you write something like that? You know what the gist is?
Yes.
We support the study, but we don't wanna commit to it, we know more
Yep.
details.
Yeah, I mean, what you can do is to authorize them to go onto your property. I mean, that could be part of your letter, is to authorize them to come onto your property to conduct the study, which is the first paragraph of this letter. But the second paragraph is the problem.
Yeah. I make a motion to add that.
I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, review this, is that good? Review the zoning hearing board meetings.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, there are two hearings Thursday. And those two are (208) the Salem Church Road. That one's pretty straightforward. The applicant wishes to construct 2,400 square foot whole building. Your ordinance allows up to 1,600 square feet for a residential accessory structure, so he's seeking relief.
Is it square footage and height or just square
For
footage?
the square footage. So that's strictly a dimensional variance request.
You guys have any comment on, are you gonna be at the meeting? Can we do comment to you?
If the board, I think I should be there for the next hearing,
I think you should too.
so as long as I'm authorized by the board, I will be there.
You guys have a comment on this?
I do.
Yeah, no comment. They're gonna have to see what the zoning hearing board, they'll just have to see what they're asking for, if it's reasonable.
The other hearing for Thursday night concerns 791 Fleetwood Lyons Road. This is the corn shed property where they're having sales of crafts in the corn shed 2 times a year, a couple weeks before Christmas, I believe between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and also, I believe, 3 weekends prior to Easter. There's, in the ordinance, it provides under special exception for a small crafts business. When I looked at this initially, I was under the impression that the majority of the product being sold there was produced by the family, which is why I felt that the special exception would be permissible. I've heard different opinions from different people, and since then that they don't feel that the family is actually producing that much of the product. I think that's something that needs to be flushed out at the hearing.
Correct.
That's where I'm at with that.
So is the special small craft over 50% have to be produced?
Well, that's the way I was interpreting it. It doesn't specify that in the ordinance. I felt that with, since it was such a limited period of time that it's actually open during the year, that if they did better than 50%, no different than having a produce stand, as long as the condition in your ordinance has always been that you're growing or producing 50% of the product that you're selling. So that's where I felt that if they were producing a minimum of 50% here, that this would fit with the special exception.
This is on agricultural preserved land. Is there any, stipulation to that, to run a business on agricultural?
Well, that would be something that the Ag Preservation Board would have to,
Right, are they aware of,
that I have no
They're
idea.
definitely aware of the motorcycle shop.
Yeah.
And nothing's happened with that.
No, if that ever happened.
already running a commercially ATV, sales, repair, apparel on agricultural preserved land? Now we're gonna go for this yet.
And what's next? The strip mall on there?
That's outside our scope
Huh?
of the preserved land, but
Yeah.
I'm not saying I disagree.
Well, I don't know. but it's still, it's frustrating.
Well,
He sold his development rights and took all that money, bought this land over here, taxpayers paid it. Now he's sorry that he sold it, and this is what he's doing now. This has bothered a lot of people for a long time, probably you too. It needs to stop.
It is a hot topic.
The land preservation, they're not doing their job.
Unbelievable.
Whoever let them slide like that should lose their job. Period. That guy took, what, over $600,000 he took on that land preservation.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the stipulation is with land preservation, so.
Well, if you look in this, you pulled it up, there's nothing in there about
No, it's.
anything agriculture, it's all it is.
Yeah, it's only agricultural things can be produced, you know, it doesn't mention anything about businesses or. It's all, it's in with their deed, you know, you saw your development rights, it's even in there, the whole verbiage. It even goes to list everything, you know, all the crops you can do, timber, all the way down through, but it says, gotta be limited to agricultural production. Not small businesses and commercial and all that business.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't do anything with land preservation. That's a different,
I understand
that's a
it's
different thing, so.
But
We
Yeah,
have
what
to-
about parking? He already has a business there, is there gonna be enough room for parking?
I have not heard any, it's open weekends.
So here's my thing. Listen, I don't wanna be an naysayer. We get enough negative publicity. We're gonna be negative. Richmond Township shut this down. Richmond Township this. But the fact of the matter is, everybody else that comes and wants to do something has to jump through hoops to get it done. This place out here on 222 is in the commercial area. They had to get a variance to have something right in the commercial area. Gawker, she puts up a farm stand, she has to get permits. Everybody has to follow the rules.
and that's the other thing, this has been going on for, I'm gonna guess, almost 10 years, maybe more.
I don't know.
So by asking for,
Time
yeah, I know it does, I know it does,
This corn shed has been going on that long.
how
pretty close to it. Time really flies.
How long was it said?
Corn chip.
How long do you think?
10 years.
Close to 10 years.
That could be close. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say closer to 7, but,
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say
your
6 or
your other thing you brought up, even though they're family, okay? When you look at the law, the way I interpret our stuff, how it got started was, out of high school, he starts a small engine repair shop, okay? Which is legal here, and you have it right here, by exception. And he was successful. And then they sold their development rights, which is what they said.
Yeah, but he was in school yet.
Yes, he was in school yet, you're right.
He wasn't doing the business before.
So when he started this small business shop, it was a small engine repair shop, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out what's going on now. It's no longer a small repair shop. It's a retail store, buying and selling of motorcycles, whatever it may be. That does not fit in here. Okay? I will take more heat than you will, Brian. But the law is you outgrew it. So when you gave him a permit to go ahead and do this, and the
do what?
exception
Yeah,
to
that's,
build on,
that's
now-
separate.
we're talking
Yeah.
now, that he brought the motorcycle shop, and we're talking about two things on the same property
Right.
that neither of them fit, because when you look at the way it's written, even with the small motorcycle shop, it's not being on the property of the owner. The owner is not the small, motorcycle shop. It's a son who started it in high school, outgrew it, been successful, no longer a small business, small engine repair shop. It is full blown. It also says in here up to 3 employees. He's got
More than that.
a whole lot more than that,
Like somebody said 4 or 5 mechanics he has.
yes.
And a full-blown inspection
Inspection.
station?
Yeah.
Inspection,
So I
why
understand
not?
what these guys are saying.
Pays taxes on.
That's a different thing that has best to be addressed because it's gonna get brought up because it's on the same property. Like they're saying, now you have a business there already, that's already gone beyond, and now here comes the corn shed. And the corn shed is, again, not being run by Floyd and Beth Kurtz, their daughter. I understand why, it's a great thing, but does it fit to where it's supposed to be? Do they now produce 50%?
That I don't know, Ron, and that's something that needs to be flushed out.
And that's why it needs to come here, but like they said, what took it so long to get here?
Well, the first time I heard about it was when I received a call from the board,
And
that it was something.
I
that needed to be looked
understand.
into.
What happens in our township a lot of times is people will start doing things, it's small, it subsidizes their farm income, and then when they become successful, they outgrow the zoning. And this is what's happening here, they outgrow the zoning. Now, unfortunately, there's been some other things that have happened beyond the doors that has brought people to question this. Instead of the first year, it's now 10 or 12 years or 20 years, but things have happened to bring this to light. And now, you guys, the board I sit on, have to deal with this. I do not begrudge anybody from being successful. But when you give exceptions, and then it grows and they become successful, they outgrow zoning. And it makes it tough for you guys, and it makes it tough for the zoning hearing board. People didn't buy a property to live beside whatever it is. And now we give exceptions to help them become successful, and now what do? And this is what's gonna get brought up Thursday night. I am stepping away from it because I have a family, but I hear what these guys are saying. And when you look at what our law stipulates and how it's being run, I have to question, what are we gonna do? Because if we allow it, hey, I have an empty hay shed that has 120 foot long, we can put a bowling alley. Why not?
I got two of them.
You know what I'm saying? So I
So
understand the frustration.
that's also the problem with other places. in the
It is.
township, You know,
That's the hard thing about giving exceptions.
that's right, and you try and be fair, and
And the next thing, I see it with him all the time. Sure, that's what it is now, Christmas, Easter, whatever. Give him a special exception. He pushes the envelope. Next thing you know, it's 365 days a year. You know, what's his plan here? Is it gonna stay, would it even stay the way it is? Or would he,
Well, I think that's something that the zoning hearing board would have to put a
Okay.
condition in there.
Yeah.
That it can't expand beyond the way it's operating right now. I think, I told Floyd and Beth that at the start of this, that I felt that, if they were successful in getting a special exception, they need to stipulate that it cannot expand beyond what it's operating.
I think there's a couple issues here, and I think it really comes to a head, not that the motorcycle repair shop has anything specifically to do with this, but it adds to the problem. Definitely, if that wasn't there, maybe it would be a little different to look at. But now we're on business number 2.
And Floyd and Beth being the owners aren't getting any money to support the farm. Their son owns the repair shop. It's not Floyd and Beth, you know what I'm saying? It's not even the landowner running the business. Now, this here, if they can prove that they are, as far as the corn shed, and they are getting the revenue from it and they are supporting their farm, that's a different story. But the motorcycle shop that these guys bring up, your property owners aren't even running the businesses.
How long has that business been there?
About 20 years.
It's my understanding, it started out when he sold his development rights, that, they said that there was existing farm equipment repair shop there. Well, it's a far cry from that today. Far cry. That's not even farm related. ATVs, snowmobiles, come on.
And I don't begrudge success, it's just like Ron
Yeah,
said.
but
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
rules
either,
are
but it has
rules.
to be legit.
It's not at the-
It's
at-
not
You
the
know?
place for it.
But that's separate from this issue.
Then put it somewhere else.
Was that
I'm
started,
reserved.
they had zoning when he started that?
That was there long before.
Before you, I was looking at this,
That must have
I'm
been-
thinking it's if they had to go through the zoning process, it would be the fault of the zoning hearing board at that point,
Well,
not putting,
But there was never any.
and there might not even have been zoning back then.
There was zoning back, your ordinance is from 2011, was on this one, but there was a previous ordinance. But you are, and might be how it started, you are allowed to have an agricultural related business. There's different criteria for it.
But in
I'm
my
not sure
mind,
how many, if it started
Yes.
that.
That's right, and you're correct.
It might have started that way as a repair shop for farm equipment, and it just evolved through the years. As far as, I can't quote to you the number of employees you're allowed to have, but it's different than what they're proposed.
But then in 2016, they applied for a permit. That wasn't all that long ago, to add on, and they specifically said for commercial sales and service of ATVs, it says it right on the permit. Why was that in 2016?
It was changed. I know when they initially applied for a permit, that it was strictly a zoning permit. And when the inspector went out to look at it, he said, well, this isn't an ag-related business. This is a motorcycle shop, with snowmobiles and that type of thing. And then I know the permit was changed at that point in time. And that was after the fact, because I'm not going to say it wasn't truthful, but it was applied for as a zoning permit, which, as you are well aware of, anything on a farm, if it's ag-related, there's no building permits required for it. So that was changed after the addition was done, when it was realized that there was other work being done there, that it wasn't totally truthful.
That don't sound.
my thinking is, if you don't put limitations on this right from the get-go, when it goes through the zoning procedure, then it's the Wild West. Because they can, do we have any way of, we can't come back and, 10 years later and say, well, we don't know what they committed.
Well, when somebody applies for an at-home business, for example, I provide a copy of the section of the zoning ordinance where everything's highlighted, what they can and can't do. So if somebody's doing something beyond that scope, then we would have the right to go to them and say, look, you can't do this, you can't.
But that's something they agreed to from the
Correct.
get-go.
Correct.
So all I'm saying is, I'm stressing the importance of having this done, this outline from the beginning, so they know what this, because otherwise, they can just
Correct.
take advantage of the situation if they want to or not.
But I don't know what transpired with this repair shop.
Nor do I.
When
And
it
I'm not-
started and what it's grown into. I wasn't here at the beginning, I'm not aware of that.
Nor was I. So I'm just
So
saying,
that's-
I'm just looking at this as potential fix for ongoing situations.
Hindsight, we probably should have done something different.
Yeah, but.
But did it ever go to the zoning hearing board?
I don't know that.
Well, not,
I don't know that
maybe
it
it
did.
didn't have to.
It did, well, because it was opened as a small repair shop, but
Correct.
it's no longer that,
It's a farm-related business.
and it's not.
But when they went to add on, wouldn't that have been, that went through the
That should've-
process?
Yeah, that was in 2016.
Again, what I just explained, it came through as a zoning permit application. You gotta realize when a permit application comes in, I'm very familiar with the township now, but I don't know what's going on in every property. When you sign at the bottom of that permit application, you're certifying that the information you're providing is true and it's representing what's going on. So it did come through as an application to expand a motorcycle business. From what I'd have to look back in the file to see what, but again, it's water over the.
Water over the bridge.
We're dealing with the corn shed right now.
Right.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
that's
how
maybe
you want
another,
to handle that,
that's maybe another topic for another day.
does the board
But
want to?
it does tie into this.
Well, I realize that, but
It does
how
tie
do
into
you want
this.
to handle this application? You asked me to look into it, and I provided,
Yep, we're just talking.
Yep,
Talk it out.
here's a way for the dialogue to continue Thursday evening.
It's not this Thursday, it's next
Yes, it's this Thursday.
Thursday.
June
Today.
15th. Thursday, June 15th.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 days.
I was planning on being here. So what's your thoughts?
Well, my thought, like I brought up before, that this would be the time to put any restrictions. To say that the zoning hearing board, yes, we'll approve this, but it, as per your request, so that we have some legs to stand on if it becomes a Walmart in 10 years.
Well, I think the best thing that you could do, again, I'm just saying what's in the ordinance. I think that they need to provide proof that they're producing the majority of the product that's being sold there,
Which they're not.
okay? Which I don't know that. I can just go on what they tell me. So let them provide proof of that. And at the very least, you know, these are the days that the number of days you can be open in a year, that you cannot go past this. But if you want to go that far,
But when Burkholder had to put up a produce stand for produce off his farm, we had Judy Schwenk out here. He had to do UCC this and UCC that. There's nothing like that in Hornshed.
well, this is just a zoning permit process. We didn't talk about building permit process yet. This is strictly the zoning.
So how do
process.
we do the building that's already there? You won't need to build. Is it
Well,
just exempt from?
If it's gonna go through zoning, then it can go through the building permit process.
But he's not gonna build anything.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He has a business there that's gonna have to follow, you know, the UCC. This is just one part of the puzzle.
That's what I was asking. Thank you. And I think some of the stuff's, well, what's your thoughts?
Like Jeff said, it's the beginning of the process.
You gotta follow the
Well, I don't think
same
it's something that's that,
Sewage, traffic, just.
what the zoning just does, if they approve it, approve it. Because there's language in there.
What you might do is send a letter to the zoning hearing board that says that it's a township position that for this use, the majority of products that's produced on the property, and that the number of days of operation should be limited.
Comply with what they've requested.
And that the shed has to be brought up to code.
And these are, you asked me to look into it.
Yep.
So this is the vehicle now that we have to enforce it. So if the board wants to take a position that it's opposed to it, this is the time to do it.
For certain, at least I'm not certain, not opposed to it. I just want to make certain that we don't repeat, mistakes we made in the past. Now is the time to correct those mistakes. So just make sure that and I can write that down.
It's not gonna be popular opinion. But you can't just go ahead and do what you want. There's absolutely no way that stuff's produced there. That's not a farm stand, that's a business on top of another business that shouldn't be there. How can we apply it to everybody else and not here? What's gonna stop everybody from opening something up?
Then this is the time to take a position and have.
But that's my position,
Okay, and have a letter drafted to be
but
put
that's
in
not
the
the board's
record.
position.
Well,
That's my
find
position.
out what the board's position is.
So,
That's why we're discussing this tonight.
and the zoning board's their own body.
And they are.
So, but
So at this point, we're just making recommendations to the zone,
Correct.
and they can still do what they want. But I think they, in my mind, they should know what we're thinking.
Correct.
And
And we should be clear.
what say you, Scott?
That's a tough one. Yeah, Brian, I tend to agree with you. I think, you know, if we're making everybody else conform, you know, we can't keep making exceptions.
Brian, can I say something?
Yeah.
Suppose that guy would be sitting in front here, and he'd hear this. Next thing you know, this township's gonna get a lawsuit. If you're gonna make it easy for them, that guy's gonna,
And
I know I would.
that's
I know I would.
100% goal since we've been here, to be fair and even with everybody.
Right, and
Rules to everybody.
they're not making it easy, they're referring it through the proper channels. That it goes to the zoning hearing board. You know, Jawad has his issues.
well, I know I heard 13 years.
Yeah.
I
You know,
realize,
that's
but
a
it's not
different-
only him, it's somebody else that come in here and wanna do something.
Well, sure, and I think we're,
I think it's apples and oranges. I mean, this is not the same situation.
No, but for this kind of stand, I mean, we have how many businesses right in that area? You know, are they all following these rules? Are we all gonna do this evenly? There's a tractor repair shop over on School Road. There's, you know, the automated thing with Beal, and, you know what I mean? If we gotta somehow,
It's agriculture related, though.
somehow we gotta apply it
I agree.
even,
I agree.
you know what I mean?
We need agricultural businesses in our agricultural areas to be defiant and but when you go and start taking these other things and bring them into agricultural areas and call that an agricultural business and lead you down a goose path is what you're telling me, because it doesn't make sense of what's going on and what they applied for. And they don't, I think my biggest key there, Brian, is we're missing is who owns the property that this is being done on for both these businesses. I think that is a real big key, even before our zoning, is if Floyd and Beth own the property, then they are entitled and they are running these businesses to supply their property, their farm. And is that what is going on here? I mean, we all know who owns the motorcycle shop. We do not know until Thursday night. We can assume, but we do not know until we question where the money is going for the craft store and who is making it. We all know pretty good what's going on, but I think the key is this money, these small businesses are to be there for the property owner to supplement his income. It's not agriculture, that's a strike. And is it supplementing the owner of this property? Is gonna be my question on Thursday night?
So then I think we write a letter and say, here, our concerns are, this does not meet a ag-related business. A. Two, if less than 50% are produced on the farm, which we feel is way less, if anything, there's nothing that I know that's even produced there.
Okay.
Then it's a retail.
Then now it's a retail shop, which that's,
if it's just a retail shop, it's not,
and if it's a retail shop, it's not prohibited.
but they're not.
And that's our concern. And we oppose it if it doesn't meet any one of those three. Is that fair?
I would also throw in the hours of operation.
Right.
That doesn't become a.
And if it is approved, we have to have very limited hours of operation. It must be spelled out.
Just as their, per their request, just what they're asking. But they have to comply with that. Is that a reason? I don't think so.
No, I think we've honed in on the key issue is whether or not it's produced on the property or
I think if they're purchasing everything and bringing it there for resale.
They are.
It has no business being there.
They are.
not. Yeah, that's not the.
That's not the intent.
I have some product from there in my house. Trust me. It's not homemade. my opinion. I don't know what percentage, but.
All operating on preserved land, which I know is a separate thing, but that just adds another factor to it. It just don't seem right. He sold his development rights. You're supposed to produce agricultural on that land now.
That's a
Beyond our control.
subject for, but not,
It's a Preservation Board issue.
yeah, not inaccurate. All right,
Maybe you ought to contact the county board and invite them and tell them you have this dilemma that you need their assistance with. Get them involved. Put their feet to the fire. They're the ones that have left him slide for how many years?
Yeah, I don't know if that's our responsibility to do.
I thought there was supposed to be cooperation among our government. Well, you're a government body, the county board is a government body, and you both have an interest in what's going on at that farm.
Do you want me to call them?
it doesn't. I'm not sure it affects the permit though. I'm not sure it affects the zoning, but I don't know that it's badly involved.
Yeah, we're gonna see what they have to say about
Yeah, just say, hey, this is what's going on. Where do we draw the line?
I think it's fair.
Well, that's just it.
I think it's fair to make them aware.
I think you ought to call Harrisburg.
And tell them that you guys are getting complaints from the citizens.
Because they didn't do their job, call Harrisburg.
But I
And now
don't
they
know,
just ask.
it's county preserved. See, there's two different programs, and I don't know who preserved that farmland. Was it done through Berks County or was it done through the state?
What wasn't wrong?
I did it the same time I did, it was through the county.
Yeah, I think it's 50.
How's it work with clean green, with a property like that?
You can have a rural enterprise. There's guidelines under Clean and Green for a rural enterprise. I think it can't be more than 2 acres or something. Anyway, there's guidelines for that. I don't know if they're complying, but there are guidelines for.
I don't typically get involved in the clean and green.
The area rules, which, if you have a rural enterprise, that area has to pay fair market real estate taxes.
Okay.
You don't get the preferential assessment on the portion of your property where you have a rural enterprise.
I know that's a whole other topic, but that's the thing, like the Kurt's Performance motorcycle repair. Is he paying commercial property taxes on a portion? No, it's all in clean green, the whole farm.
Well, don't they typically take
Well, your improvements,
an acre or two out from homestead?
your improvements are taxed at fair market values, like your ag buildings. Those are not, there's no special assessment on the buildings.
No, they're two separate things. There's a land assessed value and there's a building assessed value. Right.
When he permitted, they do it with
But the
building.
land value for commercial use should be higher than the land value for
Aggies.
Right.
You have the full details there, Jen.
Yes.
And I would make a motion that authorize Jeff to be here Thursday to answer any questions.
Okay.
And you can relay our feeling. You have the temperature of the board for this meeting?
So that's this Thursday. Next Thursday, we have 2 applications. First one is 732 Fleetwood Lyons Road, which is Weaver's Hardware. They want to put a new sign on the building itself. Unfortunately for them, the zoning there is R1. So they're very limited what they can do sign-wise. They need a variance to put this, it's been painted on the building thus far. Now they want to apply a sign that's going to be lit internally. It's 146 square feet. It's actually, I think, smaller than what they have there now. So they need a variance for that. That's being pushed by Ace Hardware. just like car dealerships need to upgrade their stores every couple of years. I think Ace requires this of their hardware stores, so
Any concern about light pollution?
I don't think it's gonna be very bright. From what I understand. I think that's a good question to ask at the hearing.
Yeah, just make sure it doesn't compete with the sun. Or
Yeah,
some of those signs are ugly.
It's 149 square foot internally illuminated channel. So that's that one. And the remaining hearing for next week is 13929 Kutztown Road, which is the old Kirbyville Hotel. As you're well aware, that property has been sitting vacant for quite a few years. From what I understand, Mr. Felino has purchased the property, would like to have 4 apartments in that building, fix the property up. Residential use is not, it's a C2 zoning district, it's not a permitted use there, so he needs a variance for that.
Would be nice to see that place fixed up.
Do something with it.
He has other properties in the area which he does take care of. It's a shame to see what's happened with that building in the last 10 years. There's been a lot of issues there.
That is an old property. Are they gonna keep the existing structure? Are they gonna tear
I
it
can
down?
show you drawings that, they're not great, it just gives you an idea.
They're not gonna tear it down.
No.
And they gotta still come to planning. They go to renovate it.
Well, if they get zoning relief, and they meet the zoning, I don't think they're really gonna have to do that at all.
If they're not changing the footprint of the building,
Which they're
they
not.
don't.
So this is a simple site plan. It's just for 4 apartments, they're required to have 2 parking spaces per your ordinance, per unit. So they're showing 10 here. But of course, you realize the rest of the property is a parking lot, so they can provide much more than that.
You might want to ask them to reduce the parking.
Well, I talked to Glenn about that today. Some of the things that I'm concerned about is the parking lot. What's gonna happen with that, because we don't want that to turn into an eyesore. The other thing is possibly limiting their access to the property, because they're so close to Richmond Road. I think it might be in the board's best place to put a condition on them saying that they can't access the property from 222, but the access would have to be from Richmond Road.
It's a good idea.
You already have people turning into Richmond Road, much less traffic on there, so it'd be much safer to access the property there versus coming in off of 222. So those are the types of conditions maybe that,
Some curb stops in there.
or even put fencing across the front. You know, so it's 4 units there. They're all 2-bedroom units.
That'll be interesting to see that get done.
So that's what we have coming up. So I take it you're not taking a position on either of these two?
The light pollution on the Weavers thing and the access to the parking lot probably is something that maybe we can do with that. That's a messed up letter. 222, put roundabouts in. Geez, that's a mess.
Jeff, did that get addressed by the planning commission, even if it was?
Well, this isn't gonna go to the planning commission, so it's
This is our only
something for you
opportunity.
guys to do that, which is why we bring it up. I can't put that in my determination, but, I think it's something for you to consider to make it a safer property. Because as well, no traffic is not getting less on 222. It's not going slower.
We're gonna widen that highway too, that's the part of it,
All right. Is that it, Jeff?
That's it, I've taken way too much of your time. Glenn.
Good discussion. No old business, engineers report, Scott's not here, solar farm. There was a complaint about them tree removals on the property line. I guess they reached out to the authorities and that's a civil complaint. I know Ron has on Mertz Road with the traffic that needs to be addressed.
Correct. I was,
We have agreed, I think the township too, we agreed that the work needs to be done when we put the mats down. That's what it's for.
So how do we enforce that?
It's not what's happening.
well, the complaint is made, and I think Scott told them, first of all, they needed a road occupancy permit. I don't know if that has happened yet,
They just applied for it today,
just applied.
yes.
Um,
It's for the tunnel, right? I mean,
So I don't know,
What-
is that,
You know, what else can we do?
I just saw the
It's-
poles are up, I see the string of the lines, that's about
You know,
all I see from.
They need to have access to Mertz Road to complete the project. Now, I'm not saying that they need to be parked all over Mertz Road, but I think Chris would agree that you can't allow this to happen and not allow them access to the road.
right, they have access, they just can't park out there.
They can't block it. And that seems to
So is
be-
that just a call to the police and they
The
enforce
police
it?
would have to enforce that. You know, I can't enforce things in the road.
Right,
That's
Oh,
a
that's
police
fine.
matter.
and we'll just have to address it with them.
Yes.
Should
And I've
address it if
been,
he was here.
I've encouraged, when I have phone calls about it, to call the police, and I know Ron has. and
Do the police come
have
out? Ron, do they do anything?
But
He's not here, but I would like to ask him, I don't think so. I have,
I'll check with him, I'll check with Old Shaver.
we were out Sunday and I understand their position, I understand the frustration on their part and ours. I'm wish we had an agreement in place. The township had an agreement with them. I had an agreement with them to put the poles in, how it was gonna be handled and what was gonna happen. And they have not lived up to any of it. You know, they put matting, Med put matting 70 feet wide. When those guys came in the morning, they all pulled up on the matting, worked off the matting, built everything off the matting. Never an issue with roads, my back lane, whatever they needed to use, we worked with them. And I would work with these guys. But when they come, they're 2 or 3 trucks parked wide. Not doing a gosh darn thing. We have matting for them to be on. The grass is growing up through the matting because it's not being used. I can show you the road where it's broke and cracked. I can show you the road where there are excavators and their telehandlers sat for hours because the oil's on the road. And we can't get through. I still have a business to run. The Mertz has got to get a milk truck in. They got to get feed trucks in. It has nothing to do with the project. It has to do with what they agreed to, how they were going to build the project. And we have failed.
Yeah.
We have failed. It's not the township's problem to have to fix a road. You know, that's part of, it's not even Mr. Heffer's, that's up to him what he want to do with his farm. We have an agreement in place, how it's gonna be done, and we have failed. And I worry about if another one happens, these people these aren't our neighbors doing this our job. These people are from North Carolina, California, Texas. they're leaving and we're gonna have broken roads and we have businesses being held up that shouldn't be because we agreed for them to put matting along our road, in our pastures, took the fence down, and it's not being used. That's our frustration.
I'll talk to the chief tomorrow.
It's not. I mean, I got pictures for the last 3 months.
I'll talk.
But when the
Are they
police
just
show
about
up,
done?
Neither
Yeah.
here nor there, though. I mean, it's pretty much done, though. I mean, the
Yeah,
poles are up
a
now,
year-
the lines
they
are
said
in.
they have a
How much
day-
more is it really gonna go on?
they have a day
It's already over.
to hook up and do testing, but with Med Ed being there, I know they'll be on the matting because they left the matting there. It's the AMP and the Heelstone people who are outside of our township and state really don't care about us. And that's the disappointing part. Not the project is irrelevant. It's how they did it, that they broke their agreements and nobody has been able to hold them accountable.
That's why it's so important that we find out who's managing the site. Because if you don't have, you gotta have some that say, hey, you know, who's accountable?
Even I as a farmer, I can't drive a 105,000 pound excavator down your township road without you breathing down my neck, right?
Right.
Because I'm gonna bust it.
I don't know, being on this side where the project's actually happening, everything seems to be on the up and up for us. I mean, but they're not blocking roads for us or anything.
Except for the tree line. They got the tree line.
Well, that was on our side. We owned that fence line.
Did you?
We didn't know it, but when they did the survey, it turns out that was actually all on our side.
So that's,
And Goggers know that, but they said they'd call them and talk to them. Is that the complaint from? Yeah, they're made aware that was on the fence line, the property line's over here, we owned the whole thing. So there's really no other argument. I think we even left one tree there because it was hanging more on their side, and they just didn't wanna jeopardize it falling on the crops, they left it there. But still, that whole thing was on our side.
Well, we really
And a lot of them were rotten anyway, I mean, they were in bad
Contact
shape.
information.
but
There's gotta be someone leading the charge there. So if we do have problems in the future, we can have someone who can.
They put up gates, there's signs there that say who the project manager is, Nadine, and, of the project, the actual person, Depcom, in charge of the whole thing, his name is Scott Little. I have his name if you want, not number. I mean, I can talk to him anytime I want.
Well, we need to get that information.
No issue.
well, that wasn't the information I received on the tree boundary.
But, I mean, you're allowed to tell me what,
No, that was just from the complaint.
oh, okay.
These trees are on my side, they come over on my side, cut them down on my side. I said, well, if they're on your side, I call the cops.
No, I mean, legally, it was all on our side, there's, end of story.
Okay.
So you actually worked farming your whole farm?
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Yes,
just
the
a
last 50 years, we figured it was right down the center of that, we never knew that. So,
I
yeah.
think that just sort of what we all as lived here think that a tree line's there for a reason and you own that half.
Yeah.
And that's just how everybody farms
No,
until you
we
survey it.
assumed that that's where the line is, and Congress did too, but no, we actually owned it.
Well, thank you for clearing that part up.
Yep.
Look, I'll talk to Chief Olshaker tomorrow, even though it's after the fact, but
Yeah, I just wish you'd be on the mats, just stay on the mats and do your thing, and life is good, but when we can't get trucks through or we can't get through, it becomes a real.
no, you should never have an issue.
Right, and that's why he don't want phone calls, I don't want phone calls, this guy don't want phone calls, we just want, do what he promised us,
Yeah, they're gonna control their subs,
yes.
land some.
For sure. Okay, the DECA project. They're adding a bag house next year, so for a truck dock, adding a new bag house and truck dock. Their existing DEP to own and operate lead acid battery manufacturer must be notified to include the air quality associated with the bag quality. The letter required municipal notification. I did not see a reason the township submit a comment to the DEP regarding changes to their existing permit. Yes, we're okay. We don't need to do anything with that. Solicitor, delinquent sewer report.
We have our summary. The action items and requests are in yellow on our report, and there's a couple of properties where the delinquent amount has creeped up, and where those delinquent amounts have become high enough to be concerned about, I would suggest you consider directing us to file liens. And I guess I'd ask Jen, have any of these gotten letters saying, you're behind or anything like that?
No,
So I don't know if you wanna do both, or have Jen send letters and then see what happens before we file liens.
I always prefer to send one letter.
Okay, so then, the ones in yellow, I would recommend that you have Jen send letters, see what happens, and then we'll talk about it again next month.
Can we put in these need to be caught up by July 1st or liens will be filed?
And make sure you mention.
Yep.
Is that the one where they didn't realize they were on public sewer?
I did see the note on that. There was no payment plan. I
It was,
emailed 3 times asking if they wanted to do a payment plan. There was no response to it. I called a couple times, no answers, left messages, and nothing.
are they making regular payments? When was the last time they paid?
They didn't pay us here, they paid Pam's directly. So I'm not sure when the payments were coming through for them. They sent everything that they've sent, they have not sent to the township. They've sent it directly to Pam's.
I would just monitor that, make
Okay.
sure they keep making regular payments.
They
so
seem to be
catch up.
making progress.
Yeah, it's been knocked down.
Okay, any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you. All right, the next thing on the agenda is those Walnut Town sewer condemnations that we've talked about a couple times. You had authorized me to get an appraisal done on each of the two. One is for a sewer main, one is for a pump station. They were both owned by the deceased people. They're located within paper streets in Walnut Town. For tonight, I would request that you pay the appraiser for those two appraisals. The invoice for each of them was the same, $500 each. And then the second thing I would ask you is to authorize me to start the process to pay into court the estimated fair market value of each of those condemnations as determined by the appraiser. The one for the sewer line was appraised at $600, and the one for the pump station was appraised at $675.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right, so your motion would include payment of the invoices and paying into court the appraised values.
And if no one claims that in court, that just goes to the state. Maybe they'll send us a thank you.
Any questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Stack Bank Engineering sent the report. I don't know that he has any questions on there, just what we're gonna go over. He wants to look at the pipe data view, they did the pipe. Robbie, did you hear anything about that?
No, as far as I know, everything was good.
Yeah, that's what they say here. Very good.
You did have a map of what they did. Did we do everything then?
No,
No.
there's 1/3 left,
1/3.
right?
Yes.
He talks about replacing this valve.
But he says we're good. For another few years. I kinda like that answer.
That's only bypass now. That's what
For $9,000.
Yes.
All right, Roadmasters report. Anything you want to add, Robbie?
They want to talk with, roads look pretty good out there, a lot of holes. Turn your steering wheel on, flat tire once in a while.
That's pretty much all I have.
That's it.
Well, dust down there too.
Not after tonight, thank goodness.
Forecast rain today, but dust
Yeah.
tomorrow.
There you go.
Good luck, Rick.
Yes. Is the road work done?
The road work's done, I think they have to come back and do some sealing. It's not the best.
It's not the quality we're used to, is it?
I gotta get with Scott, I think there's some stuff that was overlooked on Muslim Church, they're supposed to do a level course. There's spots on that road that's not even a quarter-inch thick. It's already peeling up a little bit, I can see the old road right now. So I gotta get with Scott to see what the options are with that.
Yeah,
And
go
that
with him this
road,
week.
that road was bid to be a level course, which a minimum of 3/4 of an inch, I think, is in the bid. They're not even a quarter inch at some spots, and you can clearly see those spots.
Well, just get with him and go over everything before we pay the bill.
Well, they have to come back and seal, patches.
Perry had a little trouble too, so.
What's that?
That's why. Perry had a little trouble too.
Same contractor?
We were aware of that. I
Okay.
took Scott to go look at the patches before the bid was accepted, but.
Yeah, so just watch.
Yeah, the blending wasn't quite as nice as we're used to.
No, I was hoping to get away with an oil chip after some of the patches were done, but unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna,
Yeah,
I don't think we'll chip.
it's not nice enough, no.
I think we'll have to do an 1.5 to 2 inch overlay. I mean, granted, the road will be good, but, I think it's gonna have to get overlaid next year. So,
Buy your own milling machine and do your own road patch. That's why you buy a milling machine.
Easy there. Easy there, Jeff.
I did that 20 years ago.
Can't we just borrow what, Kumru Township or what's it?
Correct.
Brecknock.
Jeff's
Just Brecknock.
gonna run it for you.
Yeah, it's not ours. Brecknock Township. You don't use it all summer long.
It's used quite a bit. Our roads are getting in good shape.
Yeah.
We buy an asphalt zipper.
And
So you mill it and then pave it?
then we have our own paver, we pave it.
Ooh.
Patch everything in.
Ooh. I'm gonna put it on the budget for another year. Okay, review tractor bids. Did you advertise?
Yes,
We got one.
yes.
Should we open it?
Open it up.
It was 7 o'clock before you guys already. I think you got one bid. So 2007 5525 John Deere with a mid-mount tire flail mower. Bid price 44,000.
We got one bid?
Yeah, that's as far as I know, yeah.
Mhm.
Does that seem acceptable?
Okay, sure.
Bobby, did you look at it?
I would say it's better than what we have now. I mean, obviously, I don't think we need a brand new thing unless you guys want to pay 200,000 for
So we
something.
definitely don't need a brand new thing, Bobby.
So,
And this is pre-emissions.
yeah, I mean, the mower we had, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you were here or not on that, 5520 that was purchased brand new in 2003. So, and that has, it's just about 7,000 hours. But, I mean, it's got its fair share of mowing.
So what's that worth now?
Yeah, I would,
It still has value.
I mean, I would say maybe 15.
Yeah, probably somewhere. Guess we're gonna find out.
You
22,000,
put it on,
the stuff that's selling a piece of sales.
So now's the time.
and it's green, so that adds value, right? The green paint. Okay, make a motion, we accept this bid.
I'll second.
All in favor? So now, how are you gonna get it home? Take that far, is it come delivered?
What's that?
How are you gonna get it home?
I think we go pick it up, I just need to get a trailer. Keith has his Class A, so we just need to get a trailer, I think, I believe one of our trucks will pull it.
They just need a good tag along.
Yeah.
They would make it.
So when you go for that, ASAP to get the, test out the mowing out of the rain.
Yeah, whenever, I mean, we're due for our second round of mowing, so,
Are you gonna let her out?
yeah. I guess the only thing is, I don't know, I have to talk with that guy, I don't know if there's any type, and you guys, there's plenty of people here to answer it. Is there some type of bill of sale or certificate of origin or
Probably
title
not.
or anything like that with the tractor?
He should just give you a bill of sale.
Okay.
Yeah, just describe it.
Describe what it is.
With the
Serial
van.
number.
Right,
Serial.
okay. We should have a license plate for it, for on the road, all our other stuff.
That I can't help you with, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
I think it's just.
Maybe take the bin.
Yeah. The only other thing I had is, we got that speed sign up and going, it was on Fleetwood Lions Road all last week and over the weekend. We switched it to the other side of the road, and we're gonna record all that information, and Chief Allshaker's gonna review it.
Whatever he does with it, but at least when you're driving, it makes you think about what you're
That
doing.
does.
And that's all, that's worth it. For what we pay for police, a $3,500 sign. Just get some people to slow down and go, oh my God, I'm going 60 instead of 45 or whatever.
That gives you good data too.
And it gives you good data.
Great data.
Okay. Secretary Treasurer Report, payment of the bills.
General funds, we have check numbers 10944 to 10988, including EFTs for $280,569.84.
I'll make a motion to pay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
State fund, we have check number 2121 for $14,670.
I'll make a motion to pay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Light fund, we had check number 2159 and 2160 for $1,421.46.
I'll make a motion to pay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Sewer fund, check numbers 3089 to 3097, including EFTs for $33,975.89.
Make a motion to pay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Walnut Town Fire Escrow, check number 2164 for $55,477.22.
I'll make a motion to pay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Virginville Fire Escrow, check number 2163 for $20,978.37.
I'll make a motion to pay.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
We've had discussions about recycling before. I had reached out to Jean Meeks again, and she had asked me to reach out to Crystal over at GFL Environmental. I got some quotes for larger containers, as Mascara was only able to give us 8-yard containers for the recycling. GFL has 30-yard containers, and they also have the availability to give us a 20-yard enclosed with lids on them, a roll-off container. Now, the only difference is the 20-yard one would be a monthly rental charge, where the 30-yard ones, they would just be here in hours to use.
All the 30-yard ones there, open top stuff,
Yes,
not so good for cardboard.
correct. And it would be for single stream. I did include the packets from years before when we did have recycling as to how many times per month it was picked up previously when we did recycling. Just so we had a ballpark figure as to how much it would cost the township to have that done. Crystal said that she would like to have, if we would decide to do recycling, a 3-year contract. And I said we were looking to see if we could do like a pilot program She said they would be fine with that, doing a month to month. She said, but even if we did decide to do a 3-year contract and decided, say, a year and a half down the road, stating, we can't handle this, residents are just leaving it aside, it's not what we thought it would be. She said we could cancel it at any time without fees or penalties. And they would not pick up the cans.
When they refer to single street,
Yes,
That's cardboard, everything.
that's
That's
what,
Everything all in one
just-
shot.
everything. all
Yes.
in one shot.
as long as, and if people bring over plastic bags, it must be in clear plastic bags. If it's in a black plastic bag, it's gonna go directly in the garbage. They do not consider that recycling. If they do not empty the bag and they just leave the black bag in there, they're not gonna open it up, that's gonna go directly to trash. So
And then
that
what
would
happens
be-
to recharge for the trash?
They will just throw it, if they actually get that at the recycling plant, we won't get credit for that, for whatever.
So,
it's
so
on.
you have some of the revenue to offset it. Did you, can you just tell me about that? I see the numbers here, but I'm not quite sure. Do you have what we got back? You know, on the next page? Like the 2015 performance grant.
The performance grant, that is what we actually received. Those years that were on there, the 2015, the 13,859.02, that would actually be the money that we got.
So can you tell me of that, what was collected here? Was that residential?
Weren't we getting credit for East Penn? I thought that we were getting money for East Penn recycling.
We do, but I just thought there was somewhere on here for our residential tonnage. Not enough to offset the cost, though, definitely not.
Yeah, right now we get $10 per ton collected. But she said depending on how the actual recycling is put into the containers, if it's crushed, if it's left full, it's all gonna depend on how much weight it is when they actually take it over to the station, so how much you're gonna get for it.
Yeah. That's $1,500 that we pay per month. All right. Let's dwell on that a little bit. Any other questions, comments?
No, we don't.
Let me know. Jay's escrow.
He has a few outstanding bills. I know in the past, I attached his escrow statement as well as to what the balance is on that. And according to his agreement, it needs to be at 5,000. I don't know if the bills that are on here that are outstanding, we want to deplete his escrow on, as it has been before. Or if we want to just keep sending him the bills for it.
What's the balance? It's down below 2,000 now? Is that right?
Yeah, 1493.38. This is the exact same letter that I sent him highlighted, and he stated we're stealing his money, and he didn't sign the contract.
He signed this one, they sent it.
Yes.
And that's like. I think if you want your money, you might as well just look it out in escrow.
So what is the balance that he owes us?
500.
$580 as of right now, but it still is going to reduce his escrow, and according to his contract, if it's below the 5,000, he has to reimburse the escrow, which he's not going to do.
I'd recommend you take the money out of the escrow, pay the outstanding invoices, send him a letter telling him that you did it. And, you know, we could sue him to restore the escrow up to 2,000, but I think I would hold that on.
I make a motion to do this.
Awesome.
All in favor?
And the only other thing is we had our liquid fuels audit on the 5th of June, and this is just the closeout stating that he was able to find everything. There was no issues. He was here for maybe 3 or 4 hours that day and was able to find everything they, went from 2020, 2021, and 2022.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Chairman's report. You guys have anything else?
I did that.
The only thing I did was I sent around the sketch maybe. This is my preliminary thoughts over at Grande's
Open space.
open space. I'd like to pursue the ball field part. In cooperation with Fleetwood. I think Fleetwood offered to help us write some grants. I think Grande might be interested in helping us with the ball field. The avenue I'm gonna pursue. And if I get the school board to just kick in on the sidewalks, to just keep them clean. That's, I think, my next step, unless anybody else has any other suggestions.
Yeah.
Would we get an engineer to give a legit sketch of this, or what's our next step to pursue?
Well, are you looking to get cost, or are you looking to get buy-in? Or do you think you need a cost in order to get buy-in?
I don't think we need a cost to get buy-in.
I don't know what you would need the engineer drawing for until you're trying to get a cost estimate. I don't know.
Well, we'll need permits and stuff to do anything over there, correct?
For a ball field?
Well, how large is the area?
How many acres is it? 20?
Right, well, you need, erosion sediment control, and, I don't know if you need NPDES for that or not. That's an engineer.
If you need an NPDES permit, good luck. You could be waiting 15, 18 months for that.
So I don't know if you need it. I'm just
Well,
saying.
anytime-
So that's
If
my
you're
next.
disturbing over an acre.
So that's my question.
So then you're gonna need plans to get permits.
Just build the infield first and make sure to build the outfield.
Well, if you,
Kind of like, well, got the note up from my, in front of my desk here.
Jack, I
Um,
have a question about that. You said if you're disturbing more than an acre, the outfield is already grass. So technically the infield
Is it flat?
it's all flat. It's proposed, that where that drawing is proposed right now for the ball field is originally proposed to be a soccer field.
Okay.
So technically you're not disturbing more than an acre.
I don't want to, Grande has permits to move all that, that's what, I just don't know the next step.
Yeah,
Do I ask Scott? And
You know,
Scott,
does Grande still have their NPDES permit open on it? If they do, that's the easiest way.
I would think they should, they don't, because on the other side of the road, they have some stuff they gotta level out.
Okay.
It may be, because it was talked about back when he started.
Ball field.
Yeah, giving it even to the Fleetwood School.
Well, that's the dilemma we have. The school district was supposed to take it, we're not,
Oh,
now the school has different,
gotcha.
they're not gonna take it. So something has to be done. We talked about, we don't have any parks in Richmond Township. If we can get Grande to help us with the baseball association needs another field.
Right.
And if we just get a little cooperation from all parties to be, this would be something nice for Richmond Township.
And all the heavy lifting is done. It's already flat.
And all the heavy lifting's done. It would be donated to the township. We just have to have Robbie mow it. And I think the baseball association agreed to maintain the field. They just don't want to maintain 20 acres, which I understand. And if I could just maybe get a little cooperation from we don't have anything to do sidewalks. You know, we don't have any sidewalks. So if we get the school district maybe just to clean the sidewalks when it snows, it would be a big help. The rest, hopefully, would help us with permits. There's some community grant between two communities that gets prioritized.
That's how I bought my mowing machine
It's how you bought your mowing machine with a grant.
and the paper.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, so that's my next process. I guess I'll reach out to Scott. I send an email to the school board, see if I can get on the agenda there. And say this is the
Scott would know where Grande is with her.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
he's out of town today, but when I sent the email, he came back, he'll be back Wednesday, and then we'll just discuss. I'm just letting the board know, I don't know that I need any approval to pursue this until we need to do something, or do I?
Well, you're not making any commitments. You're
No.
just talking to people.
Correct.
But I agree with Jeff about seeking grants. I mean, we've seen a lot of money handed out by the state on recreation projects. And
When you work with another municipality.
Yep, that's what Chris said. Chris, and he has people, Chris Young's from the borough. He has people that helps him write grants. He said, I'll help you with that. And we could do it together because it would benefit us as a community area.
Sure.
So Fleetwood's a good partner to us when it comes to all this stuff. You know, they said they help with the sewer, whatever.
And I can tell you, if you got good grant writers, boy, there's a ton of money out there.
Yeah,
But you just gotta do the work to get it.
So he's thinking there's some grant money, so I just want to pursue this, because it takes long, it'd be nice to have the field for next year, but it's time's just slipping away. So, but I think we need someone to at least design the field. But I'll ask Scott, that's my next mission, before I commit to anything. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, that's all I have. Any public participation from the floor? Okay, if not, I make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Oh, yeah.
prefer to have things triggered.
Don't be disrespectful.
That's my only stipulation.
And we bent over backwards in 2010. He was one of the first people doing it.
Right.
He came in and said, I worked the whole township,
I was
holding
gonna-
them up, holding
I
them
was
up.
gonna say the chairman, that's